This is video number 8 of a mare moscoviense crater system. We just saw all the towers around the crater. Again, we have the formation here as well, similar to the Tycho crater. I'm not sure why the aliens like these towers around the craters. I'm actually using the term aliens because I don't think it's human construction. It doesn't follow any type of system that we use on Earth, where there's roads or power lines or anything similar happening there. A few people have mentioned this could be a base used by NASA, but there's just too many structures here to be man-made, and we would have obviously built things a lot differently. We've got all these towers happening in this crater again around the edges, and all these things resemble the towers around the Tycho craters, but they were blurred out by NASA. I was trying to show that in the first videos. We have heavy activity in this crater, a lot of towers everywhere, and this looks unusual as well. There's all sorts of rod formations sticking out there. We're now going to jump to one other area. This is unusual formation, which is commonly seen in some other craters as well, that there are large finger-like projections which are 2.5 kilometers high coming out of craters. This is at an altitude of 36 kilometers. This looks more like a square structure. We got a shadow. Again, it's not near a crater. There's the square structure. Here we have an interesting one. It's more of a square type of a building with courtyards around the edges. We had some darker green area there of vegetation. This is a very interesting one. It actually looks as though they're piled one on the other, the rod structure. And you've got a nice long shadow happening down the side. This is a type of pyramid-shaped structure, but it's very hard to work out. It's not that focused. This is a very nice one. You'll see the rod building, you'll see the excavation, a smaller one in there, and a smaller rod building next to it, and all these internal ones. It's not that focused, but you can tell the structure of it. We just passed a few others as well, same type of form. Rod towers in the crater. This area is what looks rectangular, courtyard around it. Let's continue. Same type of structure there. Again, all the towers are around a crater, similar to the Tycho craters, which looked very eroded and very old. So that's why it's produced, I think, by the same aliens that produced the crater, the Tycho structures, which is very hard to predict their age. There's no wind or erosion happening there, so the ones in Tycho could be hundreds of thousands of years old. These look fairly new and obviously used. Maybe the aliens moved to this area because it's got more green vegetation. It's an ancient lava flow, and the other area became very dry. Tycho appears very dry and very barren. We haven't got any signs of the lush vegetation that are happening here, so it could have been a climate change where they had to move and reconstruct, or it just could have been one area which became drier and is not used anymore. But this area here is very heavily populated. Now these areas could be all around the moon, but because NASA have hidden the a resolution less than 2 kilometers, we don't know what's in the other areas. And again, the same could be for Mars, where the resolution stops at 2 kilometers. Here we have a very nice structure here, very thick rod structure building, also going sideways. Numerous rod structures here in the landscape. And it could be happening on Venus as well. We're told by NASA it's a very hot environment there with sulfuric acid, about 800, 900 degrees. But the first Russian probe that landed there had no problems at all with the parachute melting. It landed fairly safely, and it took very clear pictures of the landscape. So in the same way that NASA tells us there's landing on the moon, it's very barren and there's no atmosphere or vegetation, we could have the same things occurring on Mars and Venus, and populations of millions up there as well. If this is all happening around the moon's surface, the moon could be inhabited by millions of aliens which haven't flown and disturbed us on Earth. They keep away. Here we go, the structures, courtyards, internal rods. This is a very nice image there. One other image, very nice, small one. Surprisingly, these images have high resolution. All the other ones of Mars, Venus and other areas of the moon, except the Tychus area. Here we go, we have towers there as well. These are dark. This is a brighter area with excavation. There's quite a few rods happening here as well. Why this area has escaped censorship, I don't know, but I'm happy to find it and quickly explore it. We've got these tower structures here, excavations. We just passed some large craters, all the towers around the edges. One more. There's a very bright tower again, a smaller one. You'll see like the courtyard around it, shadows. The whole landscape is just littered with towers and buildings and clusters of buildings. Again, they're not small. The smallest towers are about 15 stories, and then they can enlarge to about 100 meters, which is about 30 stories. Here we go, two large ones there. Vegetation. Here we see on the crater edge some more rectangular excavations and towers. Again, we have these types of images as well. Again, every area that's chosen down here has evidence of a population and building structures. And this is only an area of 300 square meters as well, 300 square kilometers. So imagine what the rest of the moon has on its surface on the far side. This is a very nice structure here as well, beautiful structure. Many towers. Again, the towers around the craters are building structures. If all these structures are on the far side, there could be a population of tens of millions of aliens. I assume they're still in the structures, but we can't say that. I can't focus and see any down there, obviously, and they could be empty if anything happened to them and they all died off or left the area. But why would they leave the area so heavily populated with all these buildings? There's a structure there as well. Could our astronauts have landed there and also be occupying these buildings as well if they're empty? That's one other question, but if they were, we would have other structures like roads and connections happening down there, which I haven't found any evidence so far. This area is fairly green and lush. We have two towers there, a shadow area of courtyard around it, and they would be about 15 stories high. Lush green area. We see a formation there as well. There's a whole group together. Again, around the crater there's many towers. Could this be a UFO, a base that they're talking about, that we see quite a few UFOs around Earth? The rumour is they come from under the ground where there's large cavities, especially in Mexico, where that large swarm was seen in 2004. And again, that's fairly close to New Mexico, Roswell, where the rumour was an alien craft was recovered. We've got the tower. So the shock for NASA was obviously we have a alien civilization on our doorstep. They couldn't tell the public. Here we go, all these towers again in the crater, very large building there, rod structures. And could the UFOs that crashed in Roswell be from the moon base? Obviously, which we're seeing now, which will be the closest. Here we have an area again of excavation. So there is a common element of Mexico, Roswell, and the UFO swarm that was seen there in 2004, which is quite easy to see on YouTube if you Google UFO swarm Mexico 2004. And yet they keep far away. They're only seen very high up. Here we have a very nice structure on the edge, very, very luminous, and smaller ones. Have we made some sort of a agreement with the aliens that we share technology and we won't fly around their area and they keep away from our areas? I don't know. We see some more structures there. Again, the towers around the craters, excavations around the towers, courtyards. It's a nice example there where that area seems to be very flat around the tower and perpendicular. That's a bit more deeper.